We are not thinking machines that feel, we are feeling machines that think. That absolutely powerful insight from Antonio R. Damasio really sets the perfect stage for what we're looking at today. Because think about it, if we want to build a truly good life, we can't just stumble forward on autopilot, right? We literally have to deeply understand our own internal operating system first. How we process the world, what actually drives us, and exactly why we do the things we do. So, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into this incredible, really comprehensive framework from Thomas Aletheia's book, 12 Steps to a Good Life. And specifically, we're going to master his knowledge framework. I want you to think of this as your ultimate practical roadmap. It's literally a toolbox designed to help us all navigate life's perennial struggles, make some sense out of the chaos, and actually construct a life of genuine peace. And hey, the best part? No hard hat required for this construction. All right, so Aletheia breaks down the whole human experience into these 9 distinct sections of knowledge. We've got being, doing, body, mind, emotion, spirit, relationships, finances, and finally, practice and projects. Now, I know exactly what you might be thinking. Looking at this whole list all at once, it kind of seems a little overwhelming. But don't worry, really. This represents a complete holistic set of tools. You don't have to use every single one of them perfectly all at once. You just need to know that they're sitting there in your toolbox right when you need them. To make this massive toolbox super easy to use, we're going to group these 9 areas into 4 logical buckets. We have 1, the foundation, 2, the navigators, 3, the world, and 4, integration. Let's look at how they all connect. Starting off with section 1, the foundation, being, body, and spirit. Okay, so this first section, the foundation, focuses entirely on our deepest internal realities. I'm talking about the absolute core of who we are before we ever even interact with anyone else. As you can see, your physical health, your spiritual connection, and your existential awareness are 3 equal, perfectly interconnected partners of your holistic self. It's like a 3-legged stool, right? If you ignore any one of them, your foundation is going to get a little shaky and, well, everything built on top of it is going to struggle. Let's dive right into being. Now, this is perhaps the most abstract concept in the whole toolbox, but it is absolutely crucial. Being is your fundamental state of existence. You see, truly knowing yourself is this lifelong process of peeling back psychological layers, kind of like an onion. And yeah, for sure, there might be some tears along the way, but it's all about uncovering your true worldview. The source text really emphasizes that our needs are filtered through these unconscious beliefs we've accumulated over a lifetime. So, exploring your being simply means identifying those hidden filters. That way, you can actually see reality clearly, rather than looking through the distorted lens of your past conditioning. Next up in our foundation, we have body and spirit. The body is literally our physical anchor in the universe. Look, if your brain or your body is malnourished or totally exhausted, your consciousness is basically trapped. Aletheia simplifies physical health into 4 straightforward daily anchors. Think, eat, sleep, and move. Then we have spirit. And spirit isn't necessarily about orthodox religion here. It's really the bridge between being and non-being. It's that tiny spark within you that connects to something much greater. And the text points out something just beautiful. The nexus point between your body and your spirit, it's simply your breath. Conscious breathing is the simplest yet most profound spiritual practice you can do to really ground your foundation. Moving on to section 2, the navigators, mind and emotion. So once we've got our foundation set up, we absolutely need our navigators, which are the mind and emotion, to help us actually interpret reality. Our minds are constantly working overtime, trying to categorize our feelings. And emotions, they are incredibly powerful, but as the text reminds us, they're just indicators. They are not absolute facts. We generally experience 2 main types, integral and incidental emotions. Integral emotions are tied directly to whatever is happening right in the present moment, like, feeling pure joy when you see a loved one. But incidental emotions, those are carried over from past events, like maybe snapping at your partner just because you had a terrible day at work. Recognizing the difference here is a real game changer because it stops us from reacting to the past when we should be responding to the present. To really master these navigators, the source text gives us a highly practical, step-by-step tool called the ruler method. It's specifically designed to help us intelligently process our emotional responses, instead of just being dragged around by them all day. First, recognize the emotion in yourself. Then, understand what actually triggered it. Like, what is the underlying need there? Next, label it accurately. Don't just say, oh, I feel bad. Figure out if you're feeling anxious, frustrated, or maybe disappointed. Fourth, express it in a healthy way. And finally, regulate it using practical strategies. By just walking through these 5 steps, we can turn our messy, chaotic feelings into incredibly useful data.
Which brings us to section 3, the world, doing, relationships, and finances.
Now, what's really interesting here is how we shift outward. Once our internal foundation is completely set and our navigators are perfectly calibrated, we step outward to interact with our environment. As you'll see, our external outputs are really just reflections of our deep internal values. So, your internal desire for growth and integrity, that outputs externally as doing, meaning your actions and productivity. Your internal need for connection and empathy outputs as relationships, how you connect with yourself, others, and a higher power. And your internal drive for security and resources outputs directly as finances. So things like money and productivity aren't actually the end goals, they're literally just outward expressions of your foundational internal needs. Let's zoom in on doing for a second. Aletheia completely redefines productivity here. Real doing isn't just about grinding away 24/7 or mindlessly checking off tasks. It actually consists of 5 interconnected parts. It all starts with you, your mindset, and your core values. Then comes time, how you allocate your finite canvas. Next up, tools, the actual systems you use to solve problems. Then there's engagement, actually doing the work, even when it gets hard. But the absolute capstone, that's living virtuously. Because action without ethics is just empty. True productivity is all about aligning your time and your engagement with virtuous living to genuinely make your life and the world around you a better place. Finally, we hit section 4, integration, practice, and projects. All right, this is exactly where the rubber meets the road. The famous playwright Anton Chekhov once said, "Knowledge is of no value unless you put it into practice." And he hit the nail right on the head. Collecting all this information, reading all the books, watching explainers, it's ultimately useless unless we actively integrate it into our actual everyday lives through our habits, our routines, and our projects. You've got the entire toolbox now, but you actually have to pick up the tools and do the work. The goal here isn't just to be smart, right? It's to truly live well. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you a really profound, grounding question taken directly from the source text. It's a very simple check-in often used in recovery and self-development circles. How is your now? Seriously, I want you to stop for a second and really think about it. Not how was your yesterday or how stressed are you about tomorrow. How is your now? Asking this pulls you immediately back to the present moment. And, the present moment is literally the only place where you can actually use these 9 areas of knowledge to make any real change. And that leads us perfectly to our conclusion. The text beautifully reminds us that life is, at its core, just a series of moments, and you trade your moments for something, whether that's anger, joy, useful toil, or maybe just useless distraction. So what will you trade your next moment for? Are you going to use your newly acquired toolbox to just react out of old, tired habits? Or will you consciously choose to build a good life? The choice, in this exact moment, is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope you put these tools to some wonderful use.